What's up, everyone? Welcome to Room and Board. My name's Chris George, and it's another Monday morning. So you know what that means. That's right, it's another episode of Crowdfunding Countdown, where we take a look at all the Juggalo World Tour tickets that are on sale right now. And barring that, also take a look at all the board games leaving crowdfunding this week. Thank you so much for being here. First off, as always, we've got some new patron shoutouts to do. So Matt, Antoine, Tyler, David, Jason, and Victor, thank you so much for jumping on board and supporting the channel. You are all incredible. You're my favorite people. It's the truth. You are. The six of you are my favorite people in the world. Sorry to all the previous patrons. You didn't get in on this exact week. But seriously, thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you're on the fence, just know that a couple of bucks really does go a long way. And you get to know all sorts of incredibly juicy and dark secrets that I only tell my patrons. They've been telling me to stop, but I'm not listening. That's what you get. Exclusivity. The amount of evidence that a certain detective could amass, well, it is just riddled all over my Discord. No detectives allowed. Hey, no, if you're a detective, that's honestly, that's really cool. So, yeah. Let me know in the comments if you're a detective. And what cases are you working on? And how close are you to discovering the culprit? And if I am one of the suspects. Anyway, thank you as always to all my patrons. You all rock. I appreciate you immensely. So let's get into the games. If you are still interested in backing games now that the shipping has gotten to the point where, well, I always knew it was, where it's always been in my head, a looming, unnecessary cost that you could probably avoid if you just contacted your retail store. Of course, not everything goes to retail. I get it. But sometimes even the deluxe versions do. I was talking to a friend recently and he said, hey, are you going to make a video about the shipping situation since everyone is talking about it? And I'm not going to make a designated video because I'd rather make a video that's exactly 107 minutes long with everything crammed in it instead. But there has been so much talk lately about demystifying the shipping process and why things are expensive and how the processes are run. And I think this is great. And I think this is great for backers and consumers to realize and to know. But it also doesn't really affect me. I mean, it does. It makes it more expensive to get a game, and I really believe that people will be backing less things. But personally, I have never been concerned about being discerning in what I back. Because while I definitely feel for companies that are shutting down and are unable to continue, like the team behind Uthia, and I understand that, and that sucks to see, and I understand the difficulties of that shipping. That doesn't necessarily mean it's on the consumers to fix it or absorb that cost. I mean, in a sense, it is, and in a sense that will be conveyed and transmitted to the consumers. But I think it really just means that people will buy less games. And if you really want that game, well, you're going to get it anyway. Whether the shipping's 20 bucks or 60 bucks, you're still going to get it. People could get a refund for their Marvel Zombies, but you want all the cute little plastic figures that you were okay paying through the nose for to begin with. So if you really want your game, you're still going to be out there buying your games, and for everyone else, they'll just buy less games, which means Room and Board has won! I set the shipping crisis up. It was me! I converted all of those shipping containers into tiny homes so they could never be sent back to be reloaded. All to make you consider your purchases more than you have been. I think people will continue to back what they are excited for, and I think also that some of the potentials that may have been picked up will now fall by the wayside. But that is the exact reasons why I always factor shipping costs into my main calculation. That's the price you're paying for the game. It doesn't matter if shipping is $90 and the game is $10. It is costing you $100 to get that game to your door, so that game better be worth $100 to you. Just because it's divided up doesn't mean you pay less. Just means you pay at a different time. It's as simple as that. So anyway, Kickstarter will cease to exist in a couple weeks, so we might as well enjoy the time that we have and take a look at the games on offer this week. Because it's fun to see what's upcoming, and hey, why break the Duel Monsters streak just yet? And so first up, we have to talk about Uprising. And we have to talk about it. We do. Nemesis Games specifically said that they wanted to hear my nonsense about it. But unfortunately, I have nothing to say but good things. Take that, Nemesis! Now this is a 4X experience meets a co-op. They got hexes, they got monsters, they got defenses, and to quote their video, "Did we mention quests and items? Oh, you did not, and now I am on board. I was not before, but now that I know there are quests and items, sign me up for 2, please." Those are actually some of the 4X's. You've got your hexes, your quexes, your defexes, and a game that you can only play with your exes. That's 4X, that's the 4X genre. And it is in the rulebook, this game is only playable with people who you've had a previous relationship with. And that is why they're only selling it to couples counseling. You actually have to show your certificate of psychology in order to get in. I think a lot more couples would stay together after a session or 2 of Uprising, having to overcome the legion and the hordes of chaos. And so basically the premise of the game, to be done with our nonsense, we're finished with our nonsense portion of the event and now into the serious work. The premise of the game is to get more victory points than the AI, but there's going to be 2 different AIs, the Imperial Legion and the Chaos Horde, and they're going to be doing some automated stuff throughout the different turns, and you have to make sure that every person on your team has more victory points than them at the end of the game. So it's a bit like a Knizia scoring of Tigris and Euphrates, which I really love, where you have a bunch of different points, but it is your lowest points that is actually your score. And that's basically the truth. There's no cutting the weakest link. If you are the weakest link, that's everybody's score. And I like that. I really like games that do that because it forces you to balance it out. It also makes sure that everybody is involved in the action rather than being forced to be a support so that the other character can do all the fun stuff. Although I don't mind being support in games either. Now you're going to have a main hero, and then you're going to have an additional troops that you can maneuver all around the board, and you're going to be slowly exploring the board and revealing different hexes, and they'll all have different events on it. You're then going to be building settlements on those hexes, and then fighting the people, and that's done through dice rolling. Your standard sort of roll dice, see what happens, check it against your own stat type of combat. They also say on their campaign page, there's no way anyone can tell you what to do because you have your own asymmetrical hero. I mean, well, it's still open information, so somebody could tell you what to do, but I think they're attempting to go for more of a Spirit Island thing in which you have too much going on to be able to pay attention to what's going on for everybody else. So again, it enables people to all be involved, and I think that is kind of the core focus of the design, which is great in a game like this. You can scale the difficulty, you play 2 chapters or 2 turns basically, which feels really short to me, although the turns will be long. I'd probably opt for the 3 or the 4 turn level, even just starting out, but that's, you know, if you're like me, we play a lot of games, you'll probably be okay with that. And I like that it is all standees. Honestly, the deluxifications in this one look really nice. I thought they looked nice in the first time, and I think they look nice again. This is a reprint of a campaign, so to speak, because Uprising was out. It has been in the hands of backers now, and now they're putting forward a new expansion, which basically gives you more factions, more stuff. You know, if you like the original one, you're craving for more, and your other expansions that you got during the original campaign aren't enough for you, well, you know it's enough for you. Come on. You haven't played through it, but maybe you have, and maybe you want to get everything else. Sure. I think you're going to already know whether or not you want to get this game. For everyone else, I think for me, my consideration would be the base pledge of the base game, which is $99 US. So it's a steal of a deal. It's not 100. It's not triple digits. It's 99. So you're safe, unless you're in Canada, when then it's 127 for me. And it looks good. My worry is with the 2 different factions, there'll be a little bit more automation than you'll want to do, but that feels like it'll be a little bit negligible. And anything where you have to automate the AI, you just have to do it. There's no way around it unless you have a Taburu system that pops up holographic things on the board. Now that would be a good implementation for that system, to give you sort of a Star Wars holographic chess. You know what I'm talking about. And then you move your own pieces and the board moves the other pieces. Now that would be amazing. We're getting off track. We're talking about Uprising. I'm all over the place to start. But yeah, that's one of my concerns, is the amount of upkeep that you'll have to do. And the other thing which makes me hesitate is this is a campaign that, scrolling through it, it makes me feel like I need everything. All the colors, they're bringing me in, all the stuff. But when you look at the core box, you actually do get a whole whack of stuff. And I really don't think you necessarily will need those extra factions, but it's tough because this is one which will not be in retail. They've said it specifically, you have to get it now. And so therefore you have to decide if you want all of that additional stuff. And I should probably make a full video on this later, but here's the sneak peek. You don't. You don't need to play it. It feels like there's going to be enough stuff in that base game that only the truest diehard of fans will need to get the additional stuff. Shipping is expensive. Of course it is. $24 to US, $30 to Canada. It's going to be a heavy box, so I get it. But for me, it would be around an $160 price point, which it's out of my budget, especially for a 4X that looks very solid, but it also hasn't necessarily given me that thing that has sparked my interest, and I say, oh, that's so unique, versus a lot of the other 4Xs that I've looked at. And it looks like everything's going to mesh well together, and so if you are interested in a co-op 4X, maybe that's the draw, is a 4X that is co-op. Then check it out. For me, I think it's a little bit too expensive. Of course it is. I mean, I say that like there was a chance. It takes a lot for me to spend over $100 on a board game. It really does. Now, $99. Oof, that's another story. Anyway, if you're in Germany, shipping's great. It's $12, so hit up your German aunts and uncles. And if you're interested, that finishes tomorrow, May 10th, at the time that's down there. It's early. It's tomorrow. It's you don't have that long to decide. Next up, we have Sleeping Gods 2, Distant Skies. And as I'm sure you've seen, I've already put out a 5 reasons you shouldn't back Sleeping Gods 2. Get out of bed, Dionysus. It's time for school. So I'm not going to touch on it too much. I touch on everything there, why it's exciting and why I'm not personally interested in it at this current time. But I do want to cover their stretch goals. They had some unlocks which weren't revealed at that time. So their first big unlock was 4 character minis. Wow. And their second unlock is another map, another little area that you can explore. There's 40 extra adventure cards that you get to incorporate. Honestly, if you love Sleeping Gods, that might be worth it to you. It's $85 US or $110 Canadian, and then shipping is $16 to the US or $23 to Canada. And so with that extra little thing, that's nice. I think people will enjoy it if you get it. I also don't think it'll be integral to the story to just go to this island where you're constantly getting electrocuted by lightning bolts. It certainly did not work out well for my uncle. So it's not a horrible value, but when I think about it, I can still order Sleeping Gods, the original, and then you also get some metal tokens and a little painted plane. Yeah, who cares? Well, maybe you care. I don't really care about that sort of stuff. And so my consideration, I can still order Sleeping Gods at 401 Games for $95 Canadian plus tax. And to get this to my door, it would still cost me $136 Canadian. So there's a little bit of that juxtaposition. Maybe that bump up will be enough for you with that thunderstorm. I personally don't think it's enough for me. But if you want to check it out, that's Sleeping Gods 2. Demeter, I don't even know her. Finishing Wednesday, May 11th at 12 p.m. noon. Moving along to our next game, which is Autobahn. You are a managing director of the German Bundes Autobahn Association, and you're responsible for developing a federal highway over a number of eras spanning from World War II to now. Get ready to construct highways for your entire life. That's basically the game. But what's kind of cool about this one is that it's not really all about the routes that you build on the board. The meat of the game is going to be you're promoting these little members of your organization, and you're promoting them to the administration because that's where all the decisions are made. And when you control the Autobahn administration, well, then you win and you'll fire anybody who comes against you. Jenny. Now on your turn, you'll play a card, or you'll take all your cards back, or you'll claim some funding. But mostly you're going to play a card, and you're going to play a card above one of the 5 action spaces on your player board. And the key about this is that you can only play a certain number of cards above each space. So you will have to take them back eventually, and so you're going to want to be efficient with how you play your cards. And the cards that you play will have colors on them, and they'll usually relate to different routes on the board, and you can manipulate things that way. You'll be upgrading and building roads or transporting goods to a city, and you're going to want to transport those goods first, because you never forget your first taste of mochi, and then it's just old news after that. But my favorite part of the game, as I mentioned before, is you're going to be putting people on this construction board. And when there's no room left at a specific table for someone to have a seat at that table, they get pushed out and they go up to the administration. So you're going to want to push out and basically promote your staff, the people who have been there the longest, who have put in the most time, they get promoted to the administration, and then you can assign them to different parts of the administration, and depending where you assign them, that will score you points at the end of the game, but they're all for different things. So that's how you sort of streamline your strategy in terms of how the Autobahn is being constructed. You want to specifically put your people in the right place to benefit from that. And there's a way that the board's going to expand over the course of the 3 eras. It kind of reminds me a bit of Power Grid in that regard, but it is a lot less economics focused and more on managing your cards and doing your actions in the specific place and managing that promotional element. They've also got a big thing on the page that says over 500 individual components. Yeah, when, 200 of those are little cardboard tokens. Is it something we should be bragging about? I mean, I know people see a big number and they go, oof, I am getting some value here. But really, there are a lot of wooden pieces though in it. I think you could just lead with that. There's like 184 wooden pieces or something like that. And so this is £49 or $78 Canadian. And that's for the deluxe edition. You could pay a little bit less for the retail, but you'd never do that because if you're just getting the retail, you should just get it for retail. And then it's another $10 to $17 worth of shipping for most places. And that's pretty decent shipping because they've put a note that they say they're subsidizing the shipping, and hey, even if they're lying, it just makes people feel better about the shipping. But that's why I feel it is low, when the box will probably be a little bit heavy with all that wood. I don't think it's necessarily worth backing at this Kickstarter level, though. You get a tiny mini expansion and you get some of the meeples screen printed. But you're paying the extra cost of the shipping when likely you could get it down the line for cheaper at retail. I don't know. There's free pickup at Essen, though. So if you are in Europe and you're thinking about getting this one, the fact that they are accelerating the timeline to get to Essen this year, which is in October, feels mind-boggling to me. I think it's in October. I do like the inner workings of it, so I think if you get it, you will enjoy it. But again, I think the price is better at retail. But if you're interested, that finishes May 11th at 6:55 p.m. And here I thought this one would be shorter than last week's, but no, I'm going to talk triple about everything to make sure it isn't. Let's speed it up. Next up, we have Wayfarers of the South Tigris. And this is by Garphill Games. This is the next trilogy put forward by Shem Phillips. And this is one that will be in retail. And it will be cheaper in retail, hands down. And they're really not giving you any exclusives or reasons to purchase right now, and they always say so up front, which I absolutely love about Garphill Games. I love that they take this stance. It's nice that they're fortunate to be able to take this stance because of the wide reach of their products, but still, it's awesome. They say, you can get it now and you'll get this 9-card promo pack for free. You'll get your game before anybody else, which if you have a huge backlog of games, it doesn't matter whatsoever. And you get to buy from a proven company with a track record of delivering things on time, which, again, if you've got a huge backlog of games, it doesn't matter. I think the main reason to purchase right now is the same reason why I purchased the Unfair expansion. If you want to make sure that the company who's producing the thing is getting more of your money. That's it. If you loved 5 out of 6 of the last 6 games of this sort of trilogy series that they've produced, and you like supporting the company, then I think you should go for it. Otherwise, it's cheaper in retail. Personally, I'm still holding out for the 4th series, Naughty Little Urchin Children of the North Pole. Or maybe it's the East Pole now, because when I said that joke the last time, I forgot that it was Raiders of the North Sea and that we're going east next. But Naughty Little Urchin Children outside the EastEnders pub. Could be. It would be hard to rework the theme, though. Anyway, let's talk about the game. Let's talk about what it's all about. On each of your turns, you're going to either place a dice, a worker, or rest. And the goal of the game is to have the most victory points. And so you're going to be placing things along this journal, which represents kind of the journey that your own personal caravan has gone on. And when someone reaches the end of the game, they trigger the end, but they aren't necessarily the ones who will win. It will depend on who has gotten the most points. And so you can upgrade your caravan where you're going to be placing your dice and getting stuff. Or on your turn, you're mostly going to be getting cards, and you can get land cards or sea cards or space cards, and you can get inspiration cards to tuck under the space cards because you're inspired by the heavens. And basically, you just want to create these tableaus, and the more cards you get, the more points you're going to have at the end of the game. My favorite mechanic of this, though, is if you collect a townsperson, you get to put them underneath a land card. You just stuff them under there. And so I'm interpreting it as anyone should thematically, that you have clearly murdered this townsperson. And then every time you visit the land, you can ransack their house because you know nobody's home because they're buried in the land. Or the land gives you extra points because it has been fed and it is hungry. And it is hungry for more. Anyway, basically it is how you optimize those sorts of tableaus and get points for them, while using your own personal board and upgrading that, while also traveling along and making the most effective route to give you bonuses or pay points or whatever. It's $41 US or $54 Canadian, plus $9 shipping to the US or $15 shipping to Canada. So if you're in the US, yeah, maybe it might be cheaper than in retail stores. In Canada, it would cost me around $74 to get it, and I can get any of the other series right now in stores for around 50 bucks. So I'm not interested at that point. But if you are, check it out. That finishes May 11th at 11 p.m. Now, next up, we have a game called Stellar Expedition, which if you live in the Netherlands or the UK, well, you're allowed to check this one out because the shipping is manageable. If you live anywhere else, then skip on to the next section. Now, this one is close to funding. I honestly don't think it's going to cross the finish line, but it's close enough that I figured I'd mention it because it does. It looks all right. They keep pushing that this feels like Star Trek, the board game, on their page. And I don't know if it's that, but if you like completing secret objectives like the tickets in Ticket to Ride, plus getting additional crew members to help you out and build out a little crew on the side and see the art, yeah, it might be worth checking out. Basically, there's going to be all these hexes and you're going to build embassies on planets, and then at the beginning of your turn you get the resources for whatever planets you have embassies on, and then you go and you explore more areas to get more planets, get more resources, so you can complete these secret missions which need resources and crew member abilities, and you want to complete the most missions until the game's over. If you do, you win. It does look neat. It looks really lightweight. It looks fun, but it is a bit pricey. It's 49 euros or $67 Canadian plus shipping, which to Canada would be 25 euros. So not for me, but I figured I'd mention it because it does look cool, and I'd like to see them cross their funding goal because I think this is a nice, simple, lightweight space exploration adventure. So if you're interested in that one, that is May 12th at 4:43 a.m. Moving along, we have the Table Golf Association, the TGA Tour, as they say in the biz, which if you watch their video is just the history of golf. It's not even the history of golf. It's the history of, wow, all the other sports look like they should be hard, but golf is also hard. I mean, it's a pretty funny joke, but it takes a bit to get to the point. Kind of like any video of Crowdfunding Countdown. Anyway, this is modular crokinole. That's it. You have 25 wooden tiles. They're 5 inches across, and they will all have different terrain on them. And so you're supposed to flick your disc to get it into the hole, but you know, if you go into a sand trap, you have to flick it then with your thumb, or if you go into the water, you got to take it back and flick it another spot. So the premise of the game is you can create your own golf courses and flick around and see who gets the best score. It seems fun. It does seem fun. I mean, you could also just play bocce ball. That would give you, I think, the same amount of fun. It's just a bit too expensive for what it is. I'm sure the pieces are very high quality, but it's $75 US plus $28 shipping for me. And they charge shipping on the campaign page, or I think they do. I just think this is always such a bad idea because Kickstarter takes 5% of that. So basically, are you overcharging your backers 5% of their shipping just to have a inflated price point on your page? But it's raised a ton of money, so good for them. I could see how this would be a fun dexterity game, but I don't see it being more fun than anything else. If you're a big golfer, I play golf. I play golf with my parents. I quite enjoy golf. I think the allure of navigating the course will be fun at first, but I don't know if it's worth this much. I think you could homebrew something and have a similar amount of fun for a lot cheaper. But if you are interested, hey, check it out. That is May 12th at 7:35 a.m. Now, next up, we have a game called Moogh. And this isn't going to hit its funding goal. And not even the greatest voiceover artist of all time can convince people to buy it. Although, in fairness, he really didn't have his work cut out for him. The title does all of the work in convincing why this is a fantastic game. Moogh. And it's too bad that it isn't hitting its funding goal. I mean, I think it's a fine game. You're positioning your cavemen around a raging beast and trying to stab it, or double stab it. That's a real action you can take until the beast dies, and whoever double stabs the most wins. You know, you just want to get on that Moogh and just double stab it. Or you can just have a single stab is fine, but having a double stab, you can't beat a double stab, right? That's what I've been told. Just get it. But basically, I wanted to bring this game up because I really do think GameFound, again, is failing campaigns. This is not a prevalent campaign. This is hard for me to find. This was hard for me to find it. And I once again had to wade through a number of pledge managers that are already funded and already are created to get to this one, which is not funded and needs help. And now the GameFound is out of beta. This is a bad look, and I will keep saying it. If I were the king of average, I would make a video called GameFound is failing publishers, or GameFound is failing you. And hey, Michael, if you're watching this, well, go ahead. It's a good topic and a good title. Now, could it be that the game just seems okay and people aren't necessarily resonating with it? No, of course not. It's called Moogh. I don't know how much clearer I could make that. This should be 200% funding on price and title alone, because it's also the best price this week. It's 23 euros or 30 bucks Canadian, and that's cheap. It's a nice, just small little game that people could pick up for cheap. And if you get a group pledge together with 5 boxes, you get free shipping. Free shipping in this economy? Otherwise, shipping's 10 bucks, which still is, it's fine. So I don't know. I that's why I wanted to bring it up. I will continue to bring up how horrendous GameFound's navigational system is until, as they watch my channel every week, I know they do, until the message comes across and it gets changed. So there we go. Anyway, if you are interested, well, you better Moogh. You can get over there as quick as you can, because that finishes May 12th at 12 noon. Sorry, at 12 Noog. All right, next up we have Lawyer Up Season 2. And this gives you just more Lawyer Up, the 2-player, head-to-head, asymmetrical card game. No, I can't do it. It's not just like Duel Monsters. I wish it was. Our streak ends this week. It hurts me to say so as well. But this just gives you more cases for the existing game of Lawyer Up. So if the witch trials of Season 1 weren't enough for you, well, now you can battle out a divorce trial over and over and over again. Just like it's the summer of 2004. Thanks, Lawyer Up, for letting me relive those happy times. Or you can take on a private eye case where a film noir star has been murdered and you have to figure out the culprit, just like the summer of 2005. Anyway, you'll have your base set of cards for the prosecution and the defense, and then you'll pick a case, and you'll divvy out those cards biblio style. So you draw 3, and I give 1 to my opponent, 1 to me, and I bury another bit of evidence. And these are the little bits of evidence that you will pull out throughout the case and use to sway the jurors to your side. There's going to be a panel of jurors, and they each are swayed by different arguments, and you're going to move their tokens to if they believe the prosecution or if they believe the defense. And you get the most jurors on your side, generally you win. And honestly, the gameplay in this looks really solid. I am quite pleasantly surprised because I saw Lawyer Up back when it was first out, and I thought, yeah, it looks fine, but I didn't really look into it in as depth as I do now. And I don't know, it feels like the back and forth. I just like the divvying out of those cards where you kind of get to map out what your opponent might bring to the table, and then you might be surprised later on by the things that they have. And I think that sort of thing will really reward repeat plays when you're both familiar with the decks of cards as well. I don't like the promo cards that they're throwing in. Some of the stretch goals, the promo cards are literally just Private Investigator, Tom Vassell, Z Garcia, Mike DeLisio. I don't know. For me, I don't mind when it's a person's likeness in a game. If you're going to shout out a specific person, it's a little Easter egg, that's fine. People do that all the time, but it takes me out of the game when you name the person. Like, I'd never want Chris George to be in a game. I'd be okay with my face being in there as, the face of the punching bag anonymous, that board game. Push this guy over. I love that game. Push this guy over. It's coming out soon. But I just having the person's face and name in there, it really takes me out of it. So I don't like that. But I do like the price point. It's $32 US or $41 for the base game. I don't think you have to spend $114 US or $146 Canadian on everything Lawyer Up, because the cases are replayable. Now, if they were really endlessly replayable, then you wouldn't feel the need to make more cases, but maybe you would. They're just different expansions, right? Different cards that you get to draft and decide who keeps. But yeah, and not bad shipping too, because it's a small card game, 10 to 14 bucks US for shipping, so that's on the lower end. Anyway, if you want to check that out, that's Lawyer Up 2. Demeter, I don't even know her, and that finishes on May 12th at 2 p.m. Next up, we have the DC Deckbuilder. And this is another 10th anniversary that's going the way of the Morels, in that I don't like it. Actually, I like Morels. I think Morels is fine. I like Morels a lot more than I like this game. DC Deck Builder, it's just not that great. In fact, it's not that good, or just not good. It's not good. And I like Cryptozoic as a company. I love Attack on Titan, the deck builder. That's a Cryptozoic system. I quite enjoy Epic Spell Wars, Annihilageddon. That's another Cryptozoic deck builder. Both of those are so much better than DC Deck Builder. I don't understand how it's managed to have so much content when Attack on Titan only just has the one box. Well, I do understand. It's because not enough copies have been sold and people keep buying DC Deck Builder because they see DC on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority of this. I don't understand why this has raised so much money. It's almost over $1 million Canadian. And I never understand when people say that they like it. I actively do not like this game. It's like they've never played another deck builder, because literally every deck builder I have played in existence is better than the DC Deck Builder. Or I've enjoyed it more. At least a few times I played it. I actually bought this for Brandon and Zach for Christmas because we really love playing Attack on Titan. And so I thought, oh, Cryptozoic, they did Attack on Titan. Yes, I'm going to get this thing. And Brandon likes it. I think Zach's middle on it. I don't like it whatsoever. I feel like it's really unbalanced, or it's got that runaway leader syndrome. If you get the good cards early, then there's nothing anybody else can do. And so you're just beholden to the random cards that are up in the market. And if the good ones come up on your turn, well, you win. And if they don't, then you lose. And it is certainly not worth $70 or $90 Canadian, plus $20 to $30 in shipping, which they're forcing upon you as their lowest tier because they don't even have just the DC Deck Builder. They're trying to smash two games together and be like, hey, maybe you'll like one of these and then you won't regret your Kickstarter backing. I mean, honestly, it's not even worth $45. I need to include this in a deathmatch tournament just so that it can lose and be burned for all eternity and all copies are gone. Okay, fine. Like, I know I'm being harsh. I know people out there enjoy it. I know people reference it, but I'm telling you, trust me, any other deck builder ever is better. I can think of exactly 1,000 games I would prefer playing over this, but I would still play this and be fine with it, and would prefer it over Formula D. So if you've never played it and you are backing it, just don't. But if you have played it and you love it and you are backing it, well then what the hell do I know? I'm just here trying to have a little chuckle. Make one of those jokes everyone keeps talking about. I must be a dumb idiot, but Epic Spell Wars Annihilageddon does this exact same system, but it does it better. And I just think you should just go for the better version. Anyway, that's enough on that. That finishes Thursday the 12th at 3 p.m. if you are interested. Now, next up, just quickly, we have Murder at the Golden Theater. And this is another murder mystery box, an escape room in a box that's sent to your house. And if you like those, I think this is worth checking out. That's why I wanted to mention it. It's also by a first-time creator, and they don't have any shipping information, which ain't great. I don't know, there's not enough information on the page for me to feel like I would pull the trigger on it, even if I love that genre and got everything in that genre. I think there are other safer bets you could probably do. I mean, really, I'm only bringing this up for that, and so that I have an excuse to talk about Webscapade again, which we're going to start working on the next chapter very soon. Likely. So check out webscapade.com if you want an escape room experience at home, virtual, good for 2 to 3 people. And use the code Room and Board for 50% off. Or if you are a fan of the genre, hey, it's worth checking out. It's $30 US. I wish I knew what the shipping was. That's about average for these things that get mailed to you. So if you're interested, that finishes Thursday, May 12th at 8:36 p.m. Next up, we have G.I. Joe. I didn't write whatever the subtitle was. It's G.I. Joe, Yo Joe Brah. Now, let me tell you something. If you are a real American, you better back this game. Because this is the only way to play as a real American hero. There's nothing more American than losing all your money at the casino and then putting on a little bit of blush and makeup to making yourself feel better. Or at least that's what Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Covergirl tell me. That's right. It's me, Duke. Just Google image search me and you'll see how American America could get. All right, fine. I may or may not have added a daddy to that Google image search, and I'm actually sorely disappointed that this is the best image that came up. I was hoping for something with a lot more leather and a lot more chaps. Anyway, this is the G.I. Joe board game. It hasn't raised that much comparatively to what I would have expected it was going to do. And basically, you have to defeat the big bad boss as your Jobra agents. Troops will be deployed in these sections of the board, and then all the You Real American cover girls will have 2 actions that you can take in any order to go out and fight them. If you die too much, you lose. If you kill too much, well, you win. Although nobody in G.I. Joe ever dies. At least that's what Community taught me. And the combat element is fairly simple. You're going to be in a space with people and you're going to initiate combat. And they're going to turn up cards, which will affect you. And you play cards using the team's energy pool. Each card will have a cost and you'll have to draw from the team's energy pool to do it. And then you'll activate the cards one at a time and until the cards are all exhausted or until everybody's dead. Or one side is dead. Unfortunately, that's like the whole game. The combat, it just seems a bit boring, honestly, and a little unthematic. I mean, the cards I'm sure will be interesting and will feel fun, but for $99 US for the base pledge, I feel like you should just get Marvel United for $30 instead. And it's weird for me to say that because I'm not actually a fan of Marvel United, but that's the sort of vibe and level of strategy, I guess I would say, that this is giving to me. So it's $99 US for the base, or it's $145 US for the all-in, plus $15 to $35 in shipping for something that's going to be in stores because it's G.I. Joe and Hasbro's behind it. Or at least there's a little Hasbro on the video. I don't know how much involvement they actually have. But yeah, this one, it really didn't pop for me. But if you love G.I. Joe, maybe the nostalgia will be enough. Check it out. That finishes May 12th at 10 p.m. Next up, we have Oranienburger Kanal. And personally, I'd probably prefer Oranian rings and just a regular burger canal, but people have different tastes. I respect that. But to quote the campaign page, this is a 1 to 2 player game. Plays in 45 minutes for 12 and up. That's got a dual language edition. Uwe Rosenberg! I just love the exclamation point. Uwe Rosenberg! It's just, they're so excited to get him. You know him! He has over 245 listings on Board Game Geek! Although, to be fair, 244 of them are just promo cards for Agricola. But this is a game about improving shipping conditions. That's right. Those crazy SOBs, they did it. They made a game about the shipping crisis in a shipping crisis. What a time we're living in. Okay, it's sort of about that. It's about a time where their shipping was very difficult for specific mills in the Oranienburger Kanal, and they were developing it. And so basically you're going to be building buildings on your board, and then you can score those buildings when you've surrounded them with different routes, either pathway, railway, roadway, or canalway. And then when the building is completely surrounded, you get to score it. And then also when it has 2 bridges connected to it, you can score it again. And so you're going to gather these resources and you're going to keep them on this little dial and just move them up one at a time. But the dial can kind of rotate, and that rotation of the dial will actually change the amounts of resources that you have. So you're able to switch things on the fly, and that's how you can manipulate your own resources, and it will be the key to building your buildings most effectively. And so in a round, there's this board. It has 7 action spaces on it, similar to worker placement. And each round, 5 of those actions will be taken. So it's a 2-player game, so you're either going to get 3 actions or 2 actions, and you just move this stack of discs and you leave one behind to show that you cannot take that action again. So instead of having your own workers, you're still blocking it for people, but it's just communal stack because there's various turns that you're going to take. Now it's €40 or 54 Canadian for the base game, or €49 and 66 Canadian for a couple expansion packs of buildings. And this is one of the only times where I'll say, if you're thinking about getting this game and you're interested in it, you should go for those extra building packs. Uwe Rosenberg throws them in a lot of games, and they're often hard to find, and they really do, I feel, enhance the replayability. I'm thinking about any of the decks from Agricola that people madly search for now that they're out of print, that add a different element to the game when you play it. I think it really would be worth it. I never say that for anything in terms of doing the upgrade, but I think the gameplay implications and knowing how his games have that variability built in, yeah, probably. Now, again, this is only if you are going to really enjoy the game and not going to play it twice and throw it out. Because that's what people do with their games. They throw them away and don't trade them away. Just throw them away like the garbage they are. Anyway, shipping's bad though. unless you're in Germany. So again, call upon those German aunts or hire one. That's the only place you'd want to get it from. Everywhere else, I think it's a bad deal considering the size and the scale of this game. You should just go get something like the Have or Agricola or one of his standard ones, because it'll cost you the same amount and it's a tried and true top 100 hit versus this new one. But if you have all of those and you're like, oh, I need some more Ove, then yeah, sure, check it out. That finishes Saturday, May 14th at 11 a.m. Next up, we have Ale Turna Carleve. Just briefly, because I have a sneaking suspicion that this one isn't going to be funding. I might be wrong. It might have a comeback, but it feels like it's not going to cross the finish line. Do you know the historic Carnival of Ivrea, or the famous Battle of Oranges? It says that this board game wants to summarize all of that and convey the joy and fun that are experienced during the carnival period. But my favorite part is, if you manage to not get drunk or defeated by your opponents, then you can do 3 laps and win. And honestly, I put this up here because it looks like it's Monopoly. I thought it was going to just be a ripoff of Monopoly, and I had this whole bit planned about how that's great that it's ripping off Monopoly, because Monopoly was a ripoff of the Landlord's game. But they ruined that by it not being Monopoly. You just run around the board in 3 times. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. I wanted to talk about it because it made me laugh. That's why. And I also wanted to talk about it because this is made by the same person who made the world's smallest coffee machine, which I didn't know existed. And I still don't know why it exists. I do know why. If you're trying to quit coffee, cold turkey, and you just need that little hit, just a tiny little cup of coffee, it's, you know, or if your dolls are coming to life and they're really hopped up on caffeine and you need to placate them so that they don't take over your entire house, yeah, I could see 2 good reasons to own it. I mean, let's move on. It doesn't matter when this is finishing. It's raised $20 and the game costs $75. Somebody wanted a quarter of the game. Let's move on to our other random, not a board game, but something that's like right next to a board game. It's just right next to it. It's not really a board game, but it's kind of related to a board game. I'm sure there's a term for that. Who can tell? But we're looking at these Kobold Plushies, and I mean, just look at them. The red one's name is Rory. The blue one's name is Buckles. Oh, they're freaking adorable. They're one of the most adorable things I've ever seen. What more do I have to say? I just wanted you to know that they exist. Now, they're very expensive, $35 US, $45 Canadian. I wish these were $20, but it's $20 shipping, so does that count? It doesn't. But these are certainly better than those useless dice trays that I featured a little while ago. You want a dice tray that's cuter than the dice trays we ever on offer? Get one of these and just cut out its stomach. Roll the dice in there. Perfect. Get all 6 and make them form a little ring and throw your dice in them, and then they can all be like chanting over them. Now that'd be cool. I mean, it's too much. It's too expensive for even one. It's too expensive for 6. $247 Canadian, but they're so cute. They're so cute. The design is so cool. They got little Velcro weapons that you can switch with them. I just think they look awesome, but they're too expensive for me. But I figured I'd bring it up because some of you may like it. So if you're interested, that finishes Monday, May 16th at 12:59 a.m., aka Sunday night. Next up, we have Butterfly Garden Duel, and this is a $5 print and play. Bring your own pencil, that's all you need. And this is a Dr. Finn game. He's done a whole bunch of different games. And Little Flower Shop, the dice game, that was, I think, my pick of the week. He did that. So, of course, I was excited to look at this campaign because I remember thinking that last one was really good. But I just don't think there's enough to warrant backing this, even at this $5 level. I know that they have a video of how to play it, but I just hate when the rule book isn't available, especially on these sorts of things. And I think the thinking is that, oh, if you have the rule book, well, you'll just be able to play the game and you won't buy it. And if that's the case, I don't know. But it's by virtue of Little Flower Shop that I am mentioning it. You're going to go head-to-head in terms of who collects the most butterflies, and there's no dice or anything. You just choose the amount of time that you're going to be spending capturing butterflies. There's these little columns that correspond with the butterflies, and then you choose butterflies in that section. You want to collect a diverse amount of butterflies, and they all score differently. But I think the problem with having no dice is that the game feels like it'll be deterministic or it'll be solvable. Now, likely for $5 and being a print and play, you're not going to play this a million times, but I don't know. This was one where I was like, yes, I can't wait to check everything out here. And then I did, and I was incredibly underwhelmed. But if you are interested, hey, maybe you'll like it more than I did. Check it out. That finishes May 16th at 1:47 p.m. And speaking of games tailored to my interests, next up we have Extravaganza, the drag queen lip sync battle game. It's here. And the mere fact that its own video calls it Extravaganza makes me want this campaign to just get Gonza, girl. That's strike one. Strike two is the name choices of the 8 drag queens. Andemic, Modern Tart, Kiki Flowers. Actually, I love Kiki Flowers as a name, I'll be honest. But the others, Sharon Needles and Gigi Good, Andemic and Modern Tart, whoever they are, they deserve better names. I don't know. I'm actually coming around to the names now that I'm saying them out loud. And on a related note, if I was a drag queen, my drag name would be Anita Dick. Anyway, you're going to move around the stage and collect rhinestones. So you move your queen to any spot in any direction to pick up a rhinestone. You collect all the same rhinestones of the same kind along the way. And then you're going to use those rhinestones to activate your tricks and your splits and your death drops and your lip wobbles and your gaggery goopery how now brown cow girl and your cartwheels and whatever Bag of Chips does when she's on stage, to get lip tokens and to also get portions of the lyric, because all the lyrics will be laid out and they're different colors and they require different star amounts. And you use your tricks to get those stars, which you exchange for the lyrics. And basically the person who gets the most lyrics at the end wins. There's a more advanced way of scoring it, but that's kind of like the basic scoring. And it seems fun. It does seem fun. While I love that there's a game out there about drag, it still feels like it's going to be a little bit light for my personal taste. Although the way you do combo the rhinestones and vie for points and vie for board position, that seems like it could be okay. But I think it is just kind of at that okay level, unfortunately. Mechanically, theme-wise, knocks it out of the park. But for 50 euros or $68 Canadian plus 20 euros in shipping, again, you've got to have a game that really speaks to you mechanically, that you know you're going to play over and over again, and not just because of the one theme gimmick, because that sort of thing will get old. But I'm here for a drag race game. I mean, I'm also here for how horrendous not RuPaul looks with that 5 o'clock shadow that is just rude. I know it's a shadow from one side, not the other, but it looks like a beard, and girl. So I don't know, from a pure value and mechanic standpoint, it's probably a pass for me. But hey, that might not matter to you, and you might want it anyway. And well, to that I say, Lemon was robbed in 2 seasons, and I won't apologize for that correct opinion. The other correct opinions that I will drop for you right now is that the best drag queens ever, in no particular order, are Kimchi, Miss Vanjie, Tatiana, Candy Muse, Manila, Gigi Good, and Shangela. Anyway, so that finishes Tuesday at 5:04 a.m. So unless you get up Suki doll amounts of early, well, you would better decide on Monday night. And that's it. That's it for the week. That's our week. Now, every week I do a pick for me and a pick for you. The pick for me is the one that I'm the most interested in. The pick for you is the one that I think you should get. And I hope you like it. And so this week, my pick for me, it's tough. I thought I knew it. And then when I would just look through my list, I saw a different one. And I may switch it. I'm going to stay with what it was. My potential was Autobahn. I think that one does look solid, Euro-y, fun, whatever, bit too expensive. My pick for me, though, is going to be Lawyer Up Season 2. I am really surprised. I had zero interest in this game looking at it initially, and then actually seeing how it works mechanically. I think this could be a pretty fun card game for a decent price. It's probably a bit too expensive. I've got that $30 price point in my head, but that's US, and so it's $40, and then the shipping. It's too expensive for that, for me. But mechanically and thematically and how things work together, I think it looks cool. So that's the one that I'm picking as my pick for me, is Lawyer Up this week. And then my pick for you, well, my pick for you is almost the DC Deckbuilder 10th anniversary. No, that's a runner-up. It's not. My pick for you, I don't know if there's a pick for you this week. I want to give you a pick for you because I like highlighting it. This is like a tentative pick for you. And that pick is Uprising. And I'll tell you why. Well, because it's not at retail. So I'm making the pick for you so that you look at it. If you like the idea of 4X and co-op, I think though it is an expensive package, it doesn't feel too expensive for the amount of stuff that you get in it, if that makes sense. And I think that's why I kind of want to talk about it a bit, because of the perceived value of all the stuff that you get in there. But I also realize that I might be blinded by all the other stuff in the campaign, and you might get that one box and just say, I wish I had more. I don't think you will, but that's a possibility. I'm really torn on Uprising, and maybe I just wanted to talk about it a little bit more. I think mechanically it does look good, and the inner workings look good, and yet it is not something that shouts out to me that you definitely necessarily should get it. So this isn't a pick for you like go out and get this game. This is a pick for you of what I would check out and consider and see for yourself, because from what I've looked at least, the mechanics feel like they would work together fairly well, but it's just a matter of if you like that sort of length and plotting and time between turns. I don't know. I think I'm mentioning it again just because you have until tomorrow to figure it out. Yeah, but it was almost not a pick for you this week, because not enough of it jumped out at me mechanically, but I think altogether in terms of the deluxifications that you get and like the care that's gone into behind it, it makes me want to consider. But I don't think just pull the trigger without a decent amount of thought if you are considering it. My other pick for you is to go watch the show I Love That For You. There's been 2 episodes. It's Vanessa Bayer and Molly Shannon. But Vanessa Bayer has to be one of the funniest people on the planet. Every single second she is on screen, I am laughing. It's so good. I was killing myself. My girlfriend's like, why are you liking this so much? I'm like, I don't know. But every single moment on screen is like perfection so far. It's only been 2 episodes. Anyway, I just watched that the other day and it was, so good. So check that out too. And I think that's it. Oh wait, no, it's not. We have our giveaway winner announcement. Yes, we do. I'm gonna turn to the screen, to the wheel of magic, and we will see which lucky commenter, or maybe it's a patron who gets an extra submission, gets the game, gets a copy of Zombicide Green Horde. So let's see when I set it up. Okay, I have the YouTube comment picker. I have added in some extra entries for my patrons, and just depending on their level, I gave a couple extra depending on the tier that everyone's at. And now get YouTube comments. I think we've got to hit that. We're getting all the comments. 277 comments. Ooh, and actually a few for patrons as well. So we'll see if see who gets it. And here we go. The winner is Steve Jernigan. Steve is a patron of mine. Congratulations, Steve. You're the winner of the Zombicide Green Horde. And I have your email, so I'll be able to contact you directly. And that's great. And so if Steve doesn't want it, I'm going to pick an extra one right now so you can see. Just in case if Steve doesn't want it, I will reveal the person. But otherwise, Steve, you get it. Congratulations. So I will be contacting you shortly. Thank you to everybody who entered. I'm going to try, if I can, to get more publishers on board and to see if we can get some publisher-generated giveaways. I know actually one of my patrons has said that they want to sponsor a giveaway, so that might be coming up sooner than later. Who knows? So you will have another chance. If you're still here, sorry you didn't win. If you're not Steve watching. Thank you still so much for being here. All the comments were so funny with all the catchphrases, and I gotta use all the catchphrases at least. Thanks for being here. I feel so guilty running these giveaways because I wish I could just give everyone everything, because really it means a lot that you're here. It means a lot that you're commenting, and it means a lot that you're engaging, and it just means a lot that you're here. And so I feel very guilty that I only have one copy of a game to give away, and maybe that will get my butt in gear to get more stuff for you all down the line. I do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you didn't win. I'm sorry if you were excited and you were hoping for it. I mean, it's just a giveaway. Everybody, there are tons of giveaways you can always enter. Make sure to enter the ones on Board Game Revolution all the time. I have won one of those, and it's awesome. So I'll try to keep always putting links to those in the description below. I'll try to keep those in all the Monday videos as well, because they do some great stuff, great giveaways over on that Facebook group. And so maybe you can win one of those. I hope. I feel bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. Tell me what you are excited for. If there's anything this week that you are interested in, are you pulling the trigger on Sleeping Gods? That's probably the main one that people are going to be pulling the trigger on. And then what's coming up as well that you're excited and looking forward to. Again, I always like hearing from you. Thanks for being here. Really, it means a lot. It's cool that we've hit this milestone, and it's awesome that we are headed towards even cooler things. And that is all thanks to your support. Thanks for tuning in. So you keep tuning in and I'll keep making bad jokes, and we can keep this symbiotic relationship where I am, or parasitic, yeah, just leeching off of you. Feed me. Feed me YouTube views. Okay, this is getting off the rails. I'm sorry. Thanks for being here. Once again, my name is Chris George, and I don't have a catchphrase, but as a common comment on that giveaway said, and you know what? I don't need a catchphrase. Drop the mic. See you in the next one.